Hey, this is Hammer with a 3,000 point battle line against a Dark Elf opponent. So I wanted to get another 3K game in using an experimental type list with 3 Lord level characters and no peasant infantry at all. So I think the main motivation was to bring my flying heroic killing blow Lord back on the table. So just brought this list out for fun. So board setup, as you can see, my opponent got to set up the river first, and of course he put it right across the center of the board because yeah, Bretonians hate rivers. The building in the center is a steadfast sanctum, so anything within 6 inches of it is stubborn. And then the wall at the back of his lines is a ghost fence. Everything else on the table is normal. So going to deployment, on my far right I have a trebuchet off the screen. Got a unit of 12 Knights Errant here with Banner of Eternal Flame, and my level 4 with Crown of Command and Spell Scroll. 2 units of Mounted Yeomen. Then I have my Generals unit with 11 Knights of the Realm, Standard of Discipline as normal. But he's a very simple Lord. He just has a great weapon and the Gromrel Great Helm. So he's got a 2-up rerollable and 4 strength 6 attacks. So his purpose is, besides making that Knight unit a little bit more combat effective, his main purpose is to provide the Leadership 10 bubble. Looking to the left, I have my tried and true double paladin unit. BSB with Sword of Might, Dawnstone, and Charmed Shield. Then I have Combat Paladin with the Ogre Blade, Enchanted Shield, and a War Banner in that unit with Knights of the Realm. 9 Grail Knights, Banner of Swiftness. And I have 2 units of Pegasus Knights. Very happy to bring 2 units of them back on the board. Just love their versatility. And then my Heroic Killing Blow Lord on a Royal Peg. So he's got his normal build. Sword of +2 attacks. He's got the Dragon Helm, the Virtue of Heroism, Potion of Foolhardiness, and Luckstone. So this list is kind of a speed, in-your-face style list. Yeah, it should be pretty fun, Normally I don't bring the Flying Lord out because cannons in this game are too ridiculous to risk it, but should be okay here going against the Dark Elf at least. So on my opponent's deployment on the far right, he's got probably the biggest Death Star I've ever seen. That's over 60 Executioners in one unit. And he's got a BSB with him that has the Banner of Hagreth, which I believe gives him always strikes first. So if there is a Knight Killer in Warhammer, this is it. Strength 6, attacking at their own initiative with Killing Blow. Yeah, I want nothing to do with that unit. And behind him, he's got a Cauldron of Blood, which learning more and more about Dark Elves, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it can give out a series of buffs at the beginning of the turn. So it's not a magic, he can just choose a buff to use, and he can give units Killing Blow, a 5-up ward, or something else. And it also makes units within 12 inches that have the K-Knight special rule stubborn. So this is like getting a caster that can get a free spell off every turn and makes units stubborn around it. Very nice item to have in a Dark Elf army, I can see. And also, from what I understand, Peg Knights are not a good thing to send in against it. So looking more towards the center and left, he's got a Hydra next to his Executioners. Big unit of crossbows, 20 or so. He's got a level 4 in there of metal. And he's got a bolt thrower behind the ghost fence. Next to the bolt thrower is the Unkillable Lord. So this is a thing with the Pendant of Kaleth. I believe that's the thing that gives you the inverse ward save. He's got a great weapon that also is armor piercing, and he's got the Crown of Command. So, oh, and he has a 1-up armor save. So this guy is rough. He can hold up any one of my units all game, and maybe even grind them down to a man. He's got another unit of 20 crossbows with a level 2 of Dark Elf magic, I believe. Or Shadow, maybe. I can't remember. And he's got another Hydra on the far left. So here's just a view of everything. So looking at his list, I felt it was really a very counter-Bretonnian list. Executioners, double Hydra, has got the Unkillable Lord, Lore of Metal, and yeah, I've been wanting to see the nastiness of Dark Elves so I could learn more about them, and I think I get to see some of that here. So I wasn't going to hold back in this game at all. I was definitely going to fight. So what I did, my deployment, those 2 mounted yeoman units were dropped last. Put my 2 knight units in the center, see if I could bait out his Death Star, and it happened to work. So the mounted yeomen there are clearly there to jump up and try to redirect that Death Star as long as I can. And then I have my level 4's unit there with dwellers below to attempt to weaken that unit. So I'm going to dwellers that, throw treb shots at it, anything I can to get it down to maybe a manageable size. But yeah, I was questioning whether even all that would be enough to take down over 60 executioners. So these are the vanguard moves I made on the left. Yeah, plan here with the Peg Knights is to clean up his chaff. I wanted him in position so that my lord on Pegasus could not be shot without there being a minus or a penalty to the opponent's shooting. So that's why I positioned him there. So my plan is to kind of use them to provide a screen for my heroic Killing Blow Lord, so he can survive long enough to charge and get Killing Blow on the Hydra. Vanguard moves on my right. Yeah, these moves were made just to preserve the mounted yeoman as long as I can. So cover behind the woods and hard cover behind the building. Just because, in my view, they're going to be extremely important in slowing down that Death Star. So Dark Elf turn 1. He didn't really move much other than marching his Executioner Death Star forward. So in his magic phase, he got Plague of Rust on my Peg Knights here, reducing their armor by 1. But in doing so, he miscast with his level 4 of metal and lost 2 magic levels and 2 spells. So, you know, I was happy enough with that. Much rather Plague of Rust goes on those Peg Knights than a Key Knight unit. So shooting phase, he opens up on him with his crossbows, kills one, kills another, and yeah, wipes him out with all his shooting. So I have to use these old pictures to talk through Brett turn 1 because I was kind of distracted. So we were at an independent game store and we all pitched in for some rum and some beer. So that may have influenced my picture taking abilities. But anyways, in this picture, the Peg Knight unit on the right is the one that got eliminated by his shooting phase. So on my turn 1, I marched the leftmost Peg unit across the river, angling them towards the center of the board. Then I moved my Heroic Killing Blow Lord right behind him so that the Peg Knights provided cover against Dark Elf shooting. And they're out of the charge arc of the Hydra, which had turned towards the center of the board on his turn 1. So over here, I had moved my BSB's unit forward, just to the left of that building, behind the river. Mounted Yeoman popped out and redirected his Death Star. Then I moved my General's unit behind the building, near where my Mounted Yeomen are in this picture. My magic phase, I cast Dwellers below on the Death Star, but he Dispel Scrolled it, so it's nice to get rid of that. My shooting phase, Trebs did nothing, and one of them blew itself up. So this is the only picture of Dark Elf turn 2. This is the only charge he made. So I couldn't get my Mounted Yeoman close enough to really redirect him the way I normally do, but I was still in his way enough. So when he charged me, I elected to flee because I thought I had a reasonable chance to get away. And I did. And he rolled double 1, so he hardly moved at all. And I saved my mounted yeoman. So I really like this because now I can rally and use my free move to redirect them once again, which is fantastic. I lost 2 mounted yeomen because I foolishly forgot that rivers don't count as dangerous terrain, so yeah, never play with them. Just a dumb mistake. But in the rest of his turn, shut down his magic. His shooting killed 1 or 2 Grail Knights, and he reformed his crossbows into blocks to try to take my charges. So going to Brett turn 2, I'll land a series of charges, as you can see. Get my heroic Kinglow Lord into the flank of the Hydra. Peg Knights into the flank of the crossbows, and Grail Knights to the front. So I lost 2 or 3 Grail Knights to the stand and shoot, which was just terrible. So it drops another rank off of me, and my chances of breaking his steadfast are even lower. I didn't know what to do against the unkillable Lord, so what I did here was I popped a Potion of Foolhardiness for my general, or not my general, my Lord. So he's got 7 attacks with Heroic Killing Blow, and align him so that if he does get Killing Blow, he'll overrun and contact that Lord, and maybe get lucky again. That was really the only thing I could think of. In hindsight, maybe I should have taken my Peg Knights around the crossbows to charge his bolt thrower next turn, because I could only really get in combat with 1, so their assistance to the Grail Knights would be fairly negligible. Looking more towards the center, take my double Paladin unit into the other Hydra. It's a pretty easy charge, 15 inches. Each of my Paladins failed a dangerous terrain test that they did not need to take because, again, I forgot the river rules, so that was unfortunate. Feel very good about this combat due to the amount of combat res I have come to the fight, and yeah, just hoping I'll take him down with Swift Stride and get further away from the Executioners. Just another view of that towards the middle. And here's a view towards the right. So the Executioners are redirected because I did rally my mounted yeoman with my general's leadership. So I was able to use their fast cavalry rule to make another move and get a second use out of them, which was fantastic. So my general's unit failed a swift reform test, which is why they're sitting there not very close to the river. In my magic phase, cast Dwellers Below on the Death Star, and this time I got it off and killed about 20 of them. So weakened that unit very nicely with 1 Dwellers, but it's going to take a lot more than that. So after close combat here, I completely whiff my attacks and only kill 4 crossbows, which is unfortunate. And they end up killing 2 more Grail Knights in close combat, so I'm just getting embarrassed by these crossbows, unfortunately. And this was the biggest disaster of all. My Heroic Killing Blow general does not get Heroic Killing Blow, and Hydra reforms to face me. So really needed that, and he put 2 wounds on my general, so I got 1 wound left. Really got to get the Killing Blow this next round, or going to be in a lot of hurt there. So combat over here. Yes, I do beat the Hydra, but I just roll like a 4, and he gets away, which was very unfortunate. Now I'm open to a flank charge from the crossbows, and not what I needed to have happen. Felt really comfortable with my moves and my charges on this turn, but the dice just did not pan out for me. So Dark Elf turn 3, disaster strikes. So I charge his unkillable Lord into the flank of my Grail Knights. They broke from combat, and his Lord ran him down. And then my Pegasus Knights, who were clipping the top of the crossbow unit, also broke and fled right off the board. So just lost a ton of points there. Yeah, it's going to be tough to recover. Luckily, my general did get heroic, or not my general, my lord did get heroic killing blow on the Hydra, so that was nice, at least on the left. Towards the center, his crossbows flank charged my BSB's unit. I managed to hold, but now they're tied up in the middle, and that's not where I wanted them. He also did kind of a sneaky move with his executioners. Since he had such a huge unit, he reformed them so that they were in 2 ranks and extended all the way to the front of my BSB's unit. So he's still getting redirected by my fast cav, but now he'll be able to charge the fast cav technically and overrun into the flank of my BSB's unit. So this picture is just showing the reform that he did. So he can't charge my BSB's unit because he has to be in the flank. So he'll contact my yeoman and then overrun to get into my flank. And at that point, my unit is done. No doubt about that. So pretty much have 1 turn here to try to treb or dwellers this unit and weaken it as much as I can for future turns. So I charged my heroic killing blow lord into his bolt thrower, and I charged my general's unit into his unkillable lord, which was a huge mistake for obvious reasons. So 1, I'm not going to be steadfast, and 2, I'm not going to get rank bonuses because of the river. Just not a good idea. In my mind, I'm sure I was saying, oh yeah, I'll just win by combat res, make him roll the test, and I'll be okay. But not the case at all. My own defense, I had had way too much rum at this point in the game, so my judgment was certainly affected. So in my magic phase, I get irresistible force dwellers to try to weaken that unit, and I blow up a bunch of knights, put a wound on my level 4, and yeah, going to this old picture, he had to take a panic test. He failed the first one, but he had his BSB, leadership 9, and he failed it again. And because my level 4 was directly on the center of his unit, he had to flee directly back towards the Cauldron of Blood, and he bounced right through that and threw his Hydra and off the board. I think he rolled like a 10 or an 11 to flee, so yeah. I go from getting ready to get crushed to just getting insanely lucky and taking 900 points of his army right off the board. I mean, just dumb luck, you know. This was no brilliant tactical decision on my part. It was just luck. That's all I can say about it. Definitely felt my opponent's pain at this point. So after close combat, my hero killing the lord takes on the bolt thrower, and with that kill earns his points back, which is always nice. My general's unit holds off against the unkillable lord, and my BSB's unit holds against the crossbows. So on Dark Elf turn 3, takes his Hydra into my BSB's unit, and I think it only has 2 wounds left on it, but I don't like my odds against toughness 5 with a 4-up armor, 4-up regen, so it'll be tough there. He swift reformed his crossbows, who shot down my hero killing the lord, unfortunately. After close combat, yeah, the Hydra coming in was just too much. So we were on a 6 rerollable and failed it, and the unit broke, so I lost the banner and my BSB, so he's taking points off of me. I got away, thankfully, but it's still certainly possible for him to win at this point. So in Brett turn 4, I charged his Hydra with my level 4's unit with Knights Errant and Banner of Eternal Flame, and in my magic phase get a +4 toughness on him with Throne of Vines up, and easily take the 2 wounds off the Hydra to kill it. and caused a nearby crossbow unit to take a panic test, and they came pretty close to running off the board. See over here, my Knight of the Realm unit fails to rally. Forgot to rally him last turn, but there's no way they're going off the board. My shooting phase, my trebuchet blows itself up, and close combat over here. So the last 2 rounds, my general had been locked in a challenge with the Unkillable Lord, and had been just barely hanging on with his 6-up rerollable and his ward saves. But this time, he got killed, but my knights held. And then on Dark Elf turn 5, so he rallied his fleeing crossbow unit with his level 2, and at this point we realized I'm actually within 6 inches of the building that gives me stubborn, so I'm on a stubborn 9, and really don't have anything to worry about. Wish I remembered that earlier. Then on Bretonnia turn 5, I'd take my level 4's unit into this crossbow unit in the hopes that I'll beat it, which should happen easily, and run off the table, so that I'll come on my turn 6 and he won't be able to charge me at all. Which is what happens. I crush him, I roll far enough to get off the table, and my opponent concedes the game. At this point, he knows even if his general happens to kill my Knight of the Realm unit, it's not going to be enough points. He's not going to get the points for my level 4's unit or my other big knight unit that's fleeing, so decides to concede, and that's where it ends. So obviously very lucky to win this game, but at the same time, I think my plan going in was correct. Chaff up the Death Star and weaken it with magic and shooting. In terms of my list, I definitely enjoyed having the flying Killing Blow General back with his 2 Peg Knight units. So much maneuverability, so many options. It's just a lot of fun. I do, however, miss my 50 block of Men-at-Arms. If I had them, and if I was careful about the river, then I could have used them to anvil the Death Star and just throw +4 toughness buffs on them all game, and just waste the time of that big unit. So I think certainly in my more competitive lists, always going to bring the 50 block. Just too much utility for steadfast breaking and tar pitting that an all-mounted list can't really bring. So yeah, all-mounted is fun, it's fast, but just gotta love those Men-at-Arms. It was nice to go up against the some of the Dark Elf nastiness I hadn't seen yet. Executioners, Double Hydra, Cauldron of Blood, and then the Unkillable Lord. So, and combined with Lore of Metal, certainly a nasty list for Bretonnians. I think it would have been a lot nastier had he had 2 blocks of 30 Executioners, if that's even allowed. I don't know anything about the Dark Elf book, but that, in my view, would be way tougher to deal with, especially if they're both stubborn by the dang Cauldron. But either way, it was a fun game. I should have lost it, but you know, both of us know that. So both had a good time and had some good beer and good rum, so can't go wrong there. Anyways, hope you enjoyed.